welcome to the first BigFooty Tigercast episode for 2020. And like always, we try to start things off on a really high note, and today is no exception. I'm joined today by the number 9 for the Richmond AFLW team, who is our 8th signing and is one of the players that we sponsor on the BigFooty board. Hannah Burchell, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for taking the time, especially with the season starting up next week. I know you've got a bit on your plate, so we really appreciate that.
No worries at all. Happy to do it.
We'll start right back from the start. It's very well documented you're a lifelong Tiger supporter, which was one of the bigger sort of attractions to us to sponsor you. We obviously want to look after our own. So how did you become a Tiger supporter all those years ago?
I probably didn't have a choice in it much, Chris.
Like most of us.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm happy to be on the end of a Tiger membership all these years. I mean, there's been some down years, but also recently some very high years. So I think it's all been worth it. But no, I think Dad came from the Mallee, and there was a heavy Richmond supporter base in his area. So he came from a strong Tiger supporting family, and so unfortunately for Mum, all 4 kids are now Tiger supporters, including herself now. So we're all mad Richmond. So it's pretty special for the whole family, I guess, to have me at the Tigers now.
Absolutely. So who did your mum follow before converting over?
She was loosely a Essendon supporter, so it wasn't.
Oh, just the change of the colour of the sash. That's okay.
Yeah, not too hard. So I don't think she took much convincing. It's probably just part of the agreement in the marriage for Mum and Dad. So.
Fair enough. You must have been a bit worried. I suppose, like you said, all these years of just such heartbreak, but then obviously the last few years have been pretty good with you, and then obviously you going there. So did you go to the grand finals in 2017 and 19?
No, I didn't. I couldn't get tickets in 17, and then unfortunately, but also fortunately, I was overseas for the grand final in 19. So we don't get much time off between VFLW and AFLW season, so you have to sort of maximise that time you get to go away. So I was in Vietnam, and I was watching it from an Aussie sports bar, and I had a lot of Richmond support around me, so I felt like I was still pretty close to the action, if not being there. So yeah,
that's so good that you can still watch it even while being not even in the country. That's so good to hear.
Yeah, it was an 11 o'clock start, so it was a bit different here. So.
And who was your favourite Tiger player growing up?
Probably Brett Deledio, I reckon. And it probably explains the way I play a little bit. I play as an outside mid, and he did a fair bit of that in his time. But I just liked the way that he could run, but was also so strong in the contest. So I really did like him, and I was pretty devastated when he went to the Giants. So, but no, still have a soft spot for him. So I was pretty devastated for him to miss out on a premiership opportunity. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a sliding doors moment that was for him. Leaves to get the premiership, and we knock him off in the prelim, and then knock him off in the grand final. It's crazy.
Unfortunate, just one of those sort of heartbreaking stories. But he was definitely my favourite player.
Now, you're one of the lucky ones living out every childhood dream of playing for the club that they support. How did it come about? How did you end up being the 8th AFLW signing for us? And what does it feel like realising you get to live out that dream?
Yeah, it was all pretty quick, Chris. It sort of I was at Geelong for the last AFLW season and the previous 2 VFLW seasons there. So I was lucky enough to get on the Geelong AFLW list. But I had a few injury setbacks over this time last year. So only played the one game for Geelong, and subsequently just I was delisted. So I sort of basically had to find a new club. Still felt like I had a lot more to give. Just hadn't had the big opportunity yet. Unlike a lot of other players, I actually reached out to Richmond myself. I wasn't, headhunted by anyone particular. But made contact with Kate Sheehan and teed up a meeting. Met with all the staff involved in the women's program, and it was surreal sort of sitting at Punt Road at the club that I've loved all my life, potentially with an opportunity to play in their first AFLW team. So, we had a really good chat, and I loved the energy they gave off and just their commitment to the women's program and their transparency, I guess. They didn't make any promises, but they invited me to the club, just to the VFL program, just to see if I wanted to come and train, see how I liked it. And after that, that was a big yes. I'd absolutely love to come and train on Punt Road. No brainer. And then, after 2 weeks of training, I was elevated and signed to the AFLW list as the 8th expansion signing. So, it was unbelievable.
Jeez, it's a pretty interesting way of doing it, I suppose. Were you a bit nervous having to sort of sell yourself, I guess, and pump your tyres up to the club to convince them to give you a chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when you've been delisted. It's not the the nicest way to leave a club, I guess. But so you do have to sell yourself in a way and prove that you've still got more in the tank. And it was probably in my favour that I had an injury. It wasn't so much a performance-based thing at the time. I was able to train really well, and I was healthy, and I could really show off sort of what I'm at Richmond to do now at the time. And they really liked what I could bring, and they look at the person as well. They liked who I was, and they got along well with me, and there was just a mutual click, which was really really good and really important to me as well. So.
And Kate Sheen said as much on the article on the club's website, that just the energy and the type of personality you are really fits in with the group and provides a really great energy. So it just seems like those two things are meant to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. It happened really, mutually and organically, and it ended up being a really good fit, and couldn't be happier.
And what was the first day like at the club? I mean, you followed them all your life, and you're walking the Punt Road about to train on the ground. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty nervous. Also, probably just coming in to a new team that had already formed as well. So I wasn't first day for everyone. I was coming in basically on trial. So it's hard to know where you fit in the team, and almost a threat to other spots, I guess, especially in that VFL team. And then so I was a bit nervous as to how I'd be received, but that was put to bed pretty early, so I was very welcomed, and all the girls got around me, and the coaching staff, and it felt very much at home from the first minute. So it was pretty.
Oh, that's good, because I can only imagine how terrifying that would have been. Like you said, you're there essentially to take someone else's spot in the big world of football. But that's really good to hear that they made you all feel welcome.
Yeah.
Was there anyone that you kind of gravitated to early on as a bit of a role model or someone to show you the ropes?
There were a few that were new at the time, like obviously Katie Brennan hadn't long been there herself, but she just emits this great aura of leadership and energy, and it sort of rubs off onto everyone else. I got to know her quite well. Sabrina Frederick, obviously, but then all the VFL girls that aren't on the AFLW list at the moment. But there's no real clicks or anything, so it was kind of easy to get on with all of them. So I probably couldn't pinpoint a single person, to be honest.
No, that's fair. No, that's good. It's good to hear it's one big happy family. That's what the club's all about.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
What are some of the big differences that you've noticed going from a local football environment to the VFLW and now AFLW?
It's a good question. It's sort of been a while since I've been at that local level, but I guess just the standards that are set and that you need to sort of adhere to and want to adhere to. Obviously, there's a whole team of staff that are looking over you, and almost at training, looking at the track, and there's almost one staff to one player ratio. So it's a big step up in just being looked after, and anything you need is well resourced, and just the medical team and everything like that. So you feel very well supported in that regard. There's obviously a lot more pressure, being the environment that it is, but it's a healthy pressure, and it's one that you've sort of wanted all your life. Like in juniors, you just like, as a girl, it was almost like if you could kick a footy, you're on the team, and now you're fighting for a spot. So it's an awesome change, but it's a big step up too, and in commitment and time and things like that.
So did you go all the way through to what age group in the junior level did you play up to before you sort of made that transition?
So I played under 12s with the boys, and then I played youth girls from about 15 to 18, and then I played in the VFL at Geelong when I was started when I was 21. So I've had like small breaks here and there from it, and so it was mainly from the youth girls, then a couple of years off, and then into the VFL. So that was definitely the biggest step, and the VFLW program at Geelong sort of was set up for their AFLW program, so it was very elite at that level in itself. So that's probably when I made the transition. Yeah.
And one of your big strengths is your running. It's been noted on various draft websites, your speed and your ability to run hard both ways. Have you always been a gifted runner, or is it something you've worked really hard on?
No, I've probably always been able to have that two-way running ability on the footy field. Dad's come from a sprinting background, so I've sort of got my speed from him. I've probably had to work on my endurance more than anything. Just getting my meters per minute up on the GPS, that's been something that I've been trying to work on. And just that transitional running that you need to be really good at on the wing. You need to have that two-way running ability. So I've definitely worked on it. It hasn't been just a natural thing to come to me, and I'm certainly not, the best 2K runner in the team or anything like that. But yeah, I think my all-round running ability sort of fits into that wing role that I've been playing for the last few years, which has been good.
And speaking of that wing role, a few people noticed from the practice game you had on the last weekend against the Eagles that you were kind of patrolling the fat side of the ground just as that last person on the wing. Is that where your running comes into play, to try and stop the opposition sort of switching out of the defence and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a big belief is that, we need to protect the corridor as much as we can. And, that fat side winger, that whipped winger is ultimately the last line of that. So it's definitely a position that is not always defined by the possessions that you get, but it's just that corridor defence, and then obviously then moving into the attack and getting involved in that. It's a dangerous area of the field, the corridor, obviously. So I'm just working on holding my width, and it's frustrating because you want to go and get the footy, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to run both ways. And
Yeah, I suppose it's one of those roles, like you said, it doesn't sort of rack up the possessions, but I suppose internally, your fellow teammates and the coaches would be just wrapped with, the dedication to that role, because it's such a big help to the team.
Yeah, definitely. And, I've learned to not take on the stats of a game and, how many kicks, handballs, marks I get. It's a lot of stuff doesn't rack up a stat. So you need to remember that, and that you're there to do a role, and if everyone plays their role, then it goes a long way to the team success, which is ultimately what we're all there for. So
Absolutely, yeah. And what was it like being part of that historic moment when the men's and women's team combined and run out for the first combined training session as a club?
Oh yeah, it was pretty amazing, especially for myself, who's a nuffy Richmond supporter. So it was pretty surreal. I was sitting in the team meeting with everyone, and my ears almost glazed over a bit. I was just a bit taken back by where I was at the time, and I had Trent Cotchin sitting next to me and Shane Edwards on the other side of me, and it was.
So,
cool.
Was it AFLW player Hannah sitting in the room, or was it Richmond supporter Hannah sitting in the room?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll probably leave that for my teammates.
I don't blame her. I think anyone in your position would have felt the exact same way, just looking around like, wow, this is actually happening.
Yeah, a bit of a fangirl moment, but no, my head was in the game still, so healthy balance.
And did the So the men's players or coaches talk to you girls much and give much advice before that first session, or any just sort of words of encouragement?
Yeah, Dimmer was really profound in his words. He really resonates with me. He's very articulate and um, cut to the chase, and he doesn't dance around anything. And what you see is what you get with him. So his advice was just, if you stuff it up, you stuff it up. That's, the AFL boys stuff it up every day. So we just get up and get on with the next one, and just to enjoy it, and I guess play to your strengths, which you can see in the AFL men's team. They all have that license to show their flair and ability and why they're in the AFL. And he encouraged us to do the same. Show everyone what you can do. Basically, don't shy away from a challenge, and if you stuff it up, then on to the next one. So he was awesome. He's a really good coach, and we had a lot of fun that night. Learned a few new things, and it was a great night.
It's good to hear that's the philosophy throughout the club, because it feels like a lot of the time teams can be overcoached, and I think we've all seen the progression and how good it's become when players have just been allowed to do their thing. So I'm really glad that you've been given the same advice. Tom Hunter named your coach for the AFLW team after his fantastic work coaching the VFL program since 2017. What's Tom been like as a coach so far?
Yeah, he's, like you said, it filters down to all the other teams. It's the bar's set by Dimmer, and you see a lot of that in Tommy. So he's been much the same. Play to your strengths, play your role. You're not expected to be the one player to do everything. You've got everyone's support around you, so you just play the way you play. And no, he's awesome. He's been so welcoming and warm and approachable, and caters for everyone's different styles and learnings, and we're all full of questions, and he's full of the answers. So it's been awesome, and I'm really stoked that he's got this opportunity with the AFLW, and it'll be great to see him have success throughout these years as well.
And you mentioned Katie Brennan earlier. She was obviously announced as the inaugural AFLW captain. What's it been like having her around the club for this long now, even though it's only been a short period of time, I guess? And what do you love most about her leadership?
Yeah, KB's kind of she's one that she doesn't have to, speak 100 words to get a point across or show her leadership. She's a leader in everything she does, and she just inspires everyone to be better around her. And she doesn't, like I said, she doesn't necessarily have to have the best the best speech in the world prepared, but the words she says always resonate and always have a really deep meaning. And she really looks after everyone, and she's always a big support for us. And I think she looks to us for support as well. So she's our captain, but she also brings us along the journey with her as well, in that we're all leaders in our own way as well. So she's someone that you want to play well for, and be a good teammate for. And she's got really good values.
That's really good to hear. She seems like an absolute ripper. All the sort of media stuff she's done, comes across as a very natural leader who's going to be very good for this team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very authentic, and just the same. What you see is what you get with KB. So yeah.
And with the season being, well, it kicks off next week, what's your pre-season been like, and what does a normal week look like for you this far out from the season?
Yeah, pre-season's been long. It's a longer pre-season than season, so it's been tough, but it's been really fun as well. And as we're getting closer to that game next Friday, everything's kind of coming together, which is good. You can often lose sight of why you're there when in the early days of pre-season, when you're doing that grueling running, and round one seems so far away. But no, it's been really tough, but all worth it. But yeah, I guess a normal week in the pre-season is we train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday mornings. So there's not heaps of time away from the club, but each session is different, which is good. It keeps it interesting. They're technical trainings, and than our main trainings and some tactical ones where we watch a bit more vision. So it's always a mix of things to be learning, and there's also always a lot of information to take on, but we're always able to implement it on the track during the season. So it's been good. I guess this week it's the load's off us a little bit, just with the game coming up. So we're probably able to take the foot off the pedal in terms of time at the club, but certainly not our trainings. We're still fully into that. So
And you had the practice game against the Eagles last week with a 28-point win. It must have been good just to get out on the park, play that game, and have a good solid win under your belt before round one.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good way to finish our practice games. We were probably a bit subpar in our performance, or we definitely were, against the Dogs. So it was nice that we had a bit of encouragement, and all our hard work sort of came out against the Eagles. So we're definitely still learning, and we will throughout the year. And it's always just learnings from wins and losses. So nothing sort of changes. The energy doesn't change. It's just on to the next game. So, but it is always nice to go into the season on a positive note like that. So yeah.
And speaking of positive notes, the playing group must have been excited to hear about Monique Conti being available from round one now.
Yeah, absolutely. She got up and announced it to us, and by the way she was talking, I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought she was.
Oh God.
I think she did that on purpose, just quietly. But no, it's a massive relief. She's put in so much work to both teams, and I can't even imagine how hard it's been for her to sort of divide her time and commitment and energy to both teams, just with the hours that she has to spend with the basketball and then coming to footy at night. So I'm so happy for her that she's able to commit 110% to the Tigers, because she's awesome, as you know, and she'll be an absolute superstar for the years to come.
And what are the expectations or goals for 2020 season for both you personally and for the team?
Me personally, I just think I'm keen to just get game time in. It's been a long year of sort of rehab with my ankle that I injured in the VFL season, and then obviously only played the one game at Geelong in the AFLW season. So personally, just to get on the track and get on the park and play some good footy is my goal, and just take it as a week by week thing. As a team, obviously there's a lot of firsts, and that comes with like awesome opportunities, but it's also got its challenges. We're a young team, and obviously this Friday night it's going to be pretty massive. A lot of us haven't seen a crowd that's anticipated, so I guess our challenges will be in the hype around a team like Richmond, and just the external pressures. They're positive pressures, but there's still pressures, and especially in a club like Richmond that are in a bit of a very successful time. I guess our goal is to just carry on that same attitude when we play, just like the guys do, and give it our best shot. And obviously, hopefully, come away with some silverware at the end of the year. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
That'd be a great story, wouldn't it? You won and take home the flag. That'd be good.
Yeah, add some more to the cabinet at Punt Road.
Yeah, that's it. Start building your own wall there nicely in the foyer.
Yeah, that's right.
Women's football has grown massively the last few years. The expansion's been just phenomenal since the introduction of AFLW. How much more scope for growth do you think female football has?
Oh, heaps. I think we're only just scratching the surface at the moment. It's obviously an exciting time for women's footy at the moment, but it is still very new. Richmond had to, build facilities to facilitate an extra team with the women. There's so many girls that want to play footy, but not enough ovals to play at. So the growth is without a doubt there, and it's awesome, and there's so much more that can grow. But I think the the growth now needs to sort of catch up externally in terms of facilities and clubs and things like that. So I think it's got a long way to go, and I reckon in probably past my time, but I think we'll see a full season eventually, which would be awesome to see. And
yeah, absolutely.
So.
And what advice would you give to the young girls out there who have dreams of playing AFLW one day?
So I always struggle with this question. It's I guess I always loved footy growing up, so it was hard for me to leave the boys' team and not have anywhere to go. So my advice is just to take every opportunity, I guess, because growing up I didn't have every opportunity, but the ones I had I really took. I really embraced any team I was part of, and I was lucky that I was part of some successful teams and things like that. But at the end of the day, I just loved playing it. It was never, and it still isn't. I don't feel like it's a job or anything like that. I still can't believe I get paid to play AFLW, to be honest. So I think at the end of the day, it's all just if you're having fun, then that's the easiest way to pursue a dream. Because if you're not having fun, then you're generally not going to be doing very well at it. So yeah.
Good advice, and you can see that resonates through the men's team as well with all the jokes and the carrying on they have during the game. So having fun is definitely key. And last question for you, with round one coming up next Friday night versus Carlton, what can the Tiger Army expect to see from this match? It's a huge game against the arch rivals from a club perspective. What can we expect to see?
I reckon you'll just see us going at it from that first minute. We certainly won't be taking this opportunity for granted. These things don't happen every day. It's one first that we get a round one opening night opportunity. I think you'll see a pretty hot footy and a very committed team, and we're going to do our best to block out that noise because at the end of the day we've got a job to do, and that's to win the game. So I think we'll really enjoy the experience, and I hope we can get a sea of yellow and black there on Friday night.
I think that'll be close to a certainty. And just a reminder for the game time for those listening, so it's round one versus Carlton, Friday, February 7th at Icon Park at 7:40. Please get there early. It's not a ticketed game, so make sure you get there early to guarantee entry into Icon Park. The gates open at 6 p.m. And if you're not yet a member of the AFLW team, make sure you jump onto the club's website, www.richmondfc.com.au, head to our membership department and grab a membership and support the girls. All right, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate your time. And the Richmond faithful are right behind you in the AFLW team, so all the best for the upcoming season, and hopefully you can get a few wins on the board and bring home a premiership. No pressure.
Thanks, Chris. It'd be very nice, wouldn't it?
It would be. No, absolutely. Thanks so much for your time again.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Richmond BigFooty Tigercast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and YouTube so you can follow all the roast and toast, the reviews and previews, and all topics Richmond. Also keep an ear out for our special episodes of interviews with past players. Go Tigers.